This is part two of what is randomly on my mind. And this is like candid talk. I'm not editing it or anything like that. But what's been on my mind lately is cults, and I was thoroughly disturbed with something I've seen in Nature Boy. Upon my awakening, I've had like some what I see like in my mind's eye. Everyone who has any type of intuition or that has any type of clairvoyancy, if it's not like a feeling or whether they dream, they can actually see it, but it's in their mind's eye. It's kind of like imaging, flashing, like in your mind. I don't know how to describe it. I haven't figured out how to piece all that I see together. And sometimes it comes out jumbled. And like if someone were to ask me, like, what kind of aura do you see in me? Like my messages and what I see would be so like it would be like a collage of things that I have to find a way to piece together. So sometimes I just rapid fire the things that I do see, and then I'll leave it to the person to decide. But um, cults has been on my mind real heavy lately, and I think one of the things that's been on my mind is it seems like a lot of cult leaders, they have some of the same characteristics, and the followers of these cult leaders, they have similar characteristics too. It seems like you have to be a certain type of person, have a certain type of personality to be a cult leader, and then you have to have a certain personality to be a cult follower. And I don't know if psychology has like a term for people that are more subjective to brainwashing or like following someone else's like demands or blindly following something. I don't know if there's like a term for that. But if it's not, it should be, because it's a lot of people that have these traits to be cult followers and things like that. And then it's got to be like a definition for those who spectate, those who watch and have interest in cults or like psychology, like if you're into like forensic files and like strange cases and things like that. Like there's got to be, and I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. What I'm saying is like, what is going on with our minds? What is going on with like, what's going on upstairs for us all, for all of us when we're witnessing these things? What triggers like the spectators, you know what I'm saying? Like us. What even, the reason why I even know about carbonation, honestly and truly, was through young Pharaoh. And what caught my attention was there was nothing redeemable or anything interesting to me about Nature Boy. In fact, he seemed very clownish. And it seemed, when I first saw him, I saw that he had a lot of issues. He had a lot of, I don't know what to call it, but like a lot of like parasitic like things attached to him. You know what I'm saying? But I thought he was very clownish, and I felt like he was like a parody of what he was. You never have somebody who makes parodies of things that are actually out. You know what I'm saying? Like movies or songs. I feel like he was a parody of a cult. And I didn't understand. I think the reasons why I stayed and watched is because I was like, what? He has all these people following him. And then I became more interested in the people. And then when I saw that they were children, I was like, whoa, children are around all of this madness. And then, I honestly, I wasn't on it. Like, I wasn't even like, I wasn't even subscribed to anybody's channels with the content. But then I got pulled in because I I remember I watched one whole thing that was on the T channel. And this was, I think, when Velvet was there, and it was chaotic because they were saying that she was getting abused, and here she had this very small baby. That's when I really was like, whoa, like, that's crazy. And I watched it, but not religiously. Just like, I still don't really follow them like that. I dip in, and I dip out. The same thing with the BBW cult, you know what I'm saying? But I think what gets me, what I guess what pulls me in, and maybe y'all can describe what pulls y'all in, is that there are whole grown people, and then they literally give all of their will, all of their might over to someone who makes absolutely no sense. And even if he did, you would have to be very, very, I don't know, naive to think that that type of treatment or that type of devotion is healthy. It's not. But the children, because like, children is what causes like a spin-off from the cult. Because if you know anything about like a lot of these cults, like the children that grew up in some of these cults, like even the children of the said cult leaders, a lot of them go off and they do a spin-off of the cult that they were raised in. And like, an example of that would be Dr. York, and then he has his son. And I'm not saying that his son is anything like Nature Boy, but yeah, he has a cult-like following as well. So cults are sometimes hereditary. So I'm thinking like, we have to like think psychologically, what is going on in someone's psychology, in their mind, that would make them join the cult, and then the type of characteristics and personality traits that cult leaders have. Like, there's got to be something, a scientific explanation of it. I guess I'll look it up and see what it is for myself, but rather than looking at them as like just picking everyone apart individually and assessing like their personal lives, because honestly, a lot of them, they come from similar backgrounds, but their reason for sticking in there and staying and enduring all of what they're going through is all the same. It's all the same. I remember back when I made some content about Velvet, I was telling everyone that Velvet and Nature Boy had a lot in common, and people were like confused. They thought I was victim blaming. Not everyone, but some people kind of made me feel like, I was bullying her. And it was not my intentions. But they were saying that I was victim blaming. But what you're doing is you're setting everyone apart individually on what is different, but not looking at what is the same. What is the same? And out of everyone in Carbonation at that particular time, Velvet and Nature Boy were one of the same. I don't have a word for it. But they were binded by, it was something very similar they were binded to. And I don't have the word for it. But, like, and the same with the other people that are in Carbonation. You know what I'm saying? They all have that same exact trait. Nature Boy is not only like the classic cult leader, he's also the classic follower. Like he quotes a lot of other people and he uses like a lot of other knowledge, He even watches other people's content and he kind of pieces and pulls from their stuff and pieces his own little philosophy together. It's not his own, but the way that he presents it is with his own little spin, and it's usually tied to feeding the parasitic beings attached to him. This is a sex cult. It's nothing more and nothing less. But it's not the first one, and it's not going to be the last, unfortunately. His whole philosophy about growth and all that, that's the disguise. That's the disguise. But the principle of it is to serve him and to give your mind, your body, primarily your body, and part of your soul, like if you have one, to him. He wants absolutely control. He wants it over the men and the women. And it's a sex cult. And I checked out his Twitter, and that's all where he could just let his fucking he could just cut loose and let you know what it's really about on. But that's neither here or there. And I probably will never visit this man's Twitter again, but I caught myself wanting to record because he said he went live on this other particular app that he was on. He was going live on Twitter, and I went there, but the Twitter live cut out. And I was like, let me check out this content, and it ain't up but porn, basically. But anyway, everybody knows that ain't nothing. I'm not spilling no tea or nothing. Everybody who's been watching knows there's a sex code. Sex code paired with they throw in self-improvement in there. But the premises of it has nothing to do with anybody healing, none of that. It's about him acting out his fantasies and using them as punching bags whenever he feels like it. But what I'm going to probably stop doing is like recording his content for a while, because I was pretty much disturbed with the last one that I did see. And yeah, I have some time on my hands. Like I'm a very fortunate person. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty damn fortunate. That's one thing I wanted to tell everybody. Like, you have a lot of people out here that they are emotionally invested in this, and I feel sorry for them, because this shit is devastating, yo. Like, let's keep it real. When you emotionally invested in this, it gets so depressing. But anyway, despite the point, despite me shutting all of that down, which I told everyone else to, because he's not showing his complete ass online. That's part of it. Like, behind the scenes is where a lot of that abuse is like kicking in full gear. He wants to confuse the public, and just like right now he is in complete beast mode. He's upset and depressed about something, and he's taking it out on all of them. So he's raising a lot of hell. He's taking it out on the members of Carbonation, and he's taking it out on whoever calls in to speak with him or whatever. And now he opened up his house he gave people his phone number and his address, talking about they can set appointments to heal or whatever the case may be. He is just, it's not even spiraling out of control. Whenever you give up your home and your sanctity, like you give up your haven, you know what I'm saying? Whenever you're willing to open that up, it's because, like, if you think about it, you really at this point have like gotten, like, not necessarily for that, you must have given up. You know what I'm saying? Like, Me posting my dress, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what I'm doing. I could be giving massages. I don't care. I don't want nobody coming into my space. He calls himself spiritual, but when he's letting random people, into space now, granted, you have to call him and all that, and they call themselves screening people to come over into their space, quote unquote. But that's a lot. Putting a lot of people not necessarily in danger, because for some reason, um, he can walk around after doing all this that he's done. He can walk around untouched. And I'm not saying that if a woman could knock his top off, hand in hand, of course, that she wouldn't. But it's a lot of men that would rather talk shit about Nature Boy, but he's walking around, pretty much chilling. Like, it's just weird to me. I don't understand it. Like, the men around him, I'm convinced nobody in that house grew up in the hood or anything like that. Like, if they did, they were very sheltered. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no way in heck you don't know when you being punked or you being played. I wouldn't be. I'm not afraid of anybody in that house. To be honest with you, I'm not afraid of Nature Boy either. But for all these men who spoke on him and exposed him and things like that, like, for him to still be walking around unscathed, that really speaks volumes to the state of black men in our community, or if you want to call it a community. That it's like they be softer than baby shit. Like, they be getting so hard and they flex so hard when it comes to women. Like, they will literally pop off, snap off, fight women. But when it comes to one another, it's like they wrist get bent. You know what I'm saying? Like, they put their hand on their hip, like, fight. In the Drake voice, what they call Soldier Boy voice, fight. No, I could never. Like, they sit there giving this dude handshakes and hugs, and he out here like just, I don't know. So it's just a very sad state. But I do have something that I want to reveal. See, it's like it's gonna be a surge of cults, like a big surge of cults in the next span of a couple of years. So you need to really, if you have children, you really have to start paying attention to them and loving on them. Which you should be doing regardless of what's to come. You're supposed to do it, but you have to really start watching your children and giving them the attention and the validation that they deserve and that they need. Because it's about to, when I tell you these coasts are about to spring up, because right before the great fall of the black man, it's going to be a surge of power, right? Because they are literally grabbing for straws, and it's like kind of like a power surge. Right before the power goes out, it surges. So it's going to be a lot of cults up, springing up. And there's going to be a lot of women that are going to be subjected to the torment and the abuse and the said cults. And I just feel like in men too, as you can see. So we just really have to warn our children and figure them out, because I think like I said, there's like characteristics that cult followers have. Like, if your child seems to be someone that is in need of guidance, that's constantly looking for a social cue, or searching for an answer, be the one to give them that and warn them and tell them about it. But honestly, everybody is on a path, and it's only so much you can do. Just like, despite the disturbing shit that I've seen recently with Nature Boy, that makes me think someone is going to get really hurt really badly. But despite all of that, I know that there's really absolutely nothing that I could do. I'm not an influential person. I'm a small YouTuber. People barely really understand, because sometimes I can't really conceptualize my thoughts like that. But I'm getting better at it. But I'm not really an influential person. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a voice. Nobody even ever saw my face. But I will say that I know that even if I was influential, there would be nothing that I could do. This is the very men who have all this influence and all this following, right? These black men have all these people following them. They have so much to say and they don't want to do anything because for some reason these black men feel like they're not supposed to get their hands dirty. And that's part of being a man, but that's besides the point. But what I'm noticing is that, well, I've been peep game, that they don't disagree with nothing that Nature Boy has going on. They are pretending to be upset about it, but eventually you would see that if they could have their own harem of women and have their own little cult going, you know what I'm saying, have these women to their disposal, that they would do the same exact thing. And this over-sexualized concept of the idea behind men being polygamous is just sickening. But we're going to see that surge of more and more cults just, pop up over the span of a couple of years.